Hi everybody, I have something different for you today. Short and sweet, easy, so easy in fact, I'm going to show you how you can do this in bed. This is not X-rated, very clean cut, you don't need anyone else but yourself, and it's totally legal and all of that. Okay, so my good friend from a while back, Paul Chek, leader in this industry, recommended a book to me a long time ago, aside from the one that he wrote himself, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy. He recommended Dr. John H. Tilden, Toxemia Explained, The True Interpretation of the Cause of Disease. And this book was, when was it written? 1926 it was published. Talks about everything that we're supposedly finding out now about inflammation, how it all originates in the gut based on what we eat, and depending where your weaknesses are and which energy centers of the body are not in balance, that's where your disease will show up. He doesn't talk about that part necessarily in chakra terms, but anyway, it's brilliant book. All of this information was known before I was even born, and we're acting like we're just figuring it all out now. Anyway, in the back of it, he has little exercises, Dr. Tilden's tensing exercises. And that's what I'm going to do with you today. So it's a little bit of a break from the Burdenko work. And you can do it in bed, you can do it when you get up in the morning, when you go to bed, anytime. So begin with 2 normal pillows, or in this case I have one big huge pillow. I'm going to take myself and back bend over it. So basically I want to get the thickest part of the pillow right in line with my heart or my bra strap. So I'm just going to open my arms, bring myself right over the pillow. Find a comfortable spot so my shoulders are kind of almost on the bed. The back of my neck needs to stay long. You can bend your knees or you can have your legs extended. That's up to you. Now, here's what my friend Paul taught me in addition to Dr. Tilden's work. I'm going to end up doing some ab work here with some twists, but I'm going full range of motion from hyperextension of the back, then I'm going to go through flexion into full flexion, you see, and then all the way back into hyperextension. So I want to move the spine in its full range, but I want to include the neck. Most of us have a weaker neck. Our neck muscles are so weak, they're weaker than the abdominals. And what I learned from Paul, this chain, the flexors of the neck, flexors of the trunk, flexors of the hip, they're like a circuit. And in the body has many of these circuits. In this particular flexion circle, the weakest link is the weakest muscle. So without exception, everyone that I've worked with, the neck is weaker than the abdominals, partly because of how we've been training our abs for I don't know how long. I can't believe this is still going on, but it is. We lie on the floor, we hold our head, and we crank ourselves up and down this way, and some people think the faster they go, the better. That is not how abdominals function. So if you're doing that for your ab work, you gotta re-educate yourself. Bring yourself into this bring yourself to a more educated place. Our abdominals, which are all the way around, not just in the front, they are used to balance us as we're moving. So when I'm walking, my abdominals are stabilizing. When I'm performing all kinds of housework or exercise, they're not working when I'm sitting at my computer, when I'm sacked out in front of the TV. They're definitely not working when I lie on the floor, and that's not how we train them. This exercise is not for the abdominals, it's for the whole spine. So we want the spine to move through its full range of motion. Part of the spine goes right up into your head. This is the part that I want to address. If you're doing this action that I just showed you, this one here, and you're holding your head with your hands, you were teaching the weakest muscle in that chain to be even weaker. And when I was teaching group fitness decades ago, I didn't know this. And we used to lie on the floor and do ab work the same way that everyone else did. I used to have great classes called Awesome Abdominals, and we just didn't know better back then. And the worst part is we were holding our head the whole entire time. Little did I know I was creating a super weak link in my neck. We can't afford to do that, because the more we spend time on our computers with our chin sticking out, that's called a forward head posture, the more we break the whole alignment of the spine, the ability for fluids to move properly, the ability for the nerves to connect properly. Everything gets, as one of my teachers would say, it's a disaster. So we got to get the muscles of the neck as strong as the ones in the rest of the chain. So just this knowledge alone just changed my whole understanding and thinking. So instead of holding the head, so usually what we do, we interlace the fingers, we create a little net or a little sling like a hammock for the head, and we just let the weight of our head rest in there. I'm going to challenge you not to do that. So what I want you to do, and what Paul taught me, you take your index finger, gently insert the index finger into your ear, gently. Pull the elbows wide, and that's where you're going to keep them. So when we go through this range of motion through the spine, the neck is going to have to work really hard. Your number of repetitions will be determined by the strength of the muscles in the front of your neck. So these muscles here get really long, overstretched, really weak, and then the muscles in the back get tight and short. So we can't even get out of this posture. You look at people when they're driving, when they're on their computers. Look at our young generation. They're permanently like this. Their bodies are taking the shape that they're on when they're on their devices. So chin is in, fingers inserted. I'm going to now lay over my big pillow. Take a nice breath here. And on the exhalation, I'm going to act like my head is on the pole. Like I'm pivoting around the pole, the invisible pole running from elbow to elbow. So only my head is moved. Then I come forward and I twist, pulling the elbows apart. Come back to center and release and relax all the way over. Nice inhalation here. Exhale. Pivot through the axis of the head first, then contract. Feel the base of the sternum coming closer to the pubic bone. Now add your rotation, not with the upper arm. My elbows stay apart. All of my breath is out. Inhale, relax. So a great deal of integrity and body awareness is required. Guys, you need to know what you're doing. Question the instructions that you receive. Question the exercises that you just do as a habit. So now I'm getting way more musculature with this mindful movement. And just seeing if I like it better with my knees bent. Okay, you don't have to do so many when you do it that way. So we're benefiting the neck. We are balancing the strength and flexibility of the cervical area of the spine, the muscles that support that area. Super important. Historically, when I didn't know better and I was teaching way back then, I went to get my hair done one day and I couldn't lift my head up out of the basin where they wash your hair. I had to actually take my hands and pick up my head. I had a hard time looking at the fireworks, having to hold my head up there like that. Because in the aerobic industry at that time, they would teach the instructors not to do hyperextension of the neck, which means you could bring your chin down, you could look side to side, you could tilt from one side to the other, but it was considered contraindicated at that time to take the head back because you have to have more awareness when you did that. So it was just easier to tell all of us instructors not to do that. One of my instructors was a physiotherapist, and she tried to explain to me, Dottie, think about it. That's a functional range of motion. You need to have the support to hold the weight of the head, and the head is significantly heavy, 6 to 7% of your body weight. So this is really important. So I'm benefiting this area. I'm strengthening this area, which means if I'm flexing in the front, I'm stretching what's behind. And then I'm adding the rotation, which gets all of those diagonal oblique muscles. Also, when I combine that with the breathing, it's addressing my respiratory muscles, the intercostal muscles. There's a lot going on. Doesn't that feel better to move with knowledge and awareness and breath than it does to just yank yourself around and perform however many repetitions you perform? You need to educate yourself. Okay, so that's the first one. After that, I move my my bolster or my pillows under my pelvis. So now I've got this elevation under my pelvis. The rest of my body is relaxed. Make sure you're comfortable there. I'm going to bring my knees into my chest, extend the legs up, and I'm going to do some gentle splits with a little pulse. Pulse, 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 pulse. My pelvis is really heavy, so my pelvis is stable. And on women, the pelvic area, the hip area is like your center of balance. So it's not moving. It's staying nice and still. This is a little bit like Pilates. For any of you that are Pilates practitioners, you'll recognize this. But this was made by Dr. Tilden all those years ago. So you can add a flex there. See if you can coordinate a flex and a point. And have a look at your legs. Are they lined up? Or are they kind of swerving all over the place? Okay, so we get a set of those. I'm going to take my legs apart. Really reach through the heels. Try to activate your quadriceps here. And then I'm going to cross and squeeze the inner thighs together. Now in the book, he just brings the legs together like this. So I'm adding on my dottyism here, crossing over. I'm going to inhale as I open, reach through the heels. Exhale that little squeeze. So already my energy is elevating. I've just mobilized my spine. Now I'm mobilizing my hips, getting some inversion. So all that stale energy in my legs is just get a chance to turn myself upside down a little bit. Okay. Then I'm going to do a bicycle. So I'm kind of feeling for the bed. So I slide my toes in along the bed, and I'm looking at my top foot. I'm trying to keep this nice space, hip width apart. So one leg is flexing, the other leg is extending. My pelvis is staying nice and still. Then I go the other way. I'm going to slide that heel out along the length of the bed. So I've already energized my day. It happens to be evening here, but usually I would do this in the morning. This morning it was really rainy. It was raining all day, so the light wasn't good for a video. Okay, that's all I need to wake up my legs. I'm going to help myself up. Swing that pillow around to the front. With my legs straight, I'm going to relax over the pillow. So I got the pillow right up into my body so I'm supported. And then soften yourself. Nice and easy, nice and soft. Just relaxing my spine, falling into the support of the pillow. So this is a hamstring stretch, right? And it's a nice gentle stretch for the spine. If you want to turn your head to one side. My shoulders are relaxed. And there's a nice sunset starting out there. Okay, so far so good. We can do that. At this point, you're finished with your pillow. And then you find the edge of your bed. This bed has a little ledge down there, which is just perfect for me to put my feet on. But if there's no ledge there, just hook your knees right at the edge and kind of hold the bed with your legs a little bit. So my feet are hip width apart. Everything is in its parallel line. I'm a little twisting. Just take the opposite arm to the outside of the thigh. Really let your spine lengthen, shoulders relax. And I start to rotate. Nice and gentle to begin, especially if it's in the morning. You might be stiff. My shoulders are definitely moving down, but I'm moving up through my waist. And I'm really gentle with my head. The head is the very last thing to turn. Perform that on the other side. Shoulders going down. I think of an elevator. I have three elevators. 2 elevators in my shoulders, which are going down, and an up elevator moving up through my spinal column. And then the more down my shoulders are, the more easily I can turn my head. So I'm not forcing the head. The head will go on its own when you create enough space. Then a side bend. I'm pushing my hand down into my bed. My shoulders down, my armpits anchored. And if you're flexible, you can take your elbow here. But I have both hips equally weighted. And my arm is long and easy. My arm is just waving in the air. It's really loose. The work is happening on the underside as I press through the bottom forearm to get this underlift. Again, similar to Pilates, the mermaid. So no forcing, no yanking through the top arm. The top arm is just the expression or the continuation of the trunk. And then I press down into the bottom arm to raise up. Same thing on the other side. And you can start feeling the comparison one side to the other. I happen to have a mirror in front of me so I can really look at it. My hips are equally weighted, both sitting bones. Don't let that left sit bone unweight itself. So with my feet on the edge here, both feet are equally weighted. I push down on the underside to get up. Okay, going into the twist again. This twist should feel a little different. Really feel from the base of from your lumbar curve all the way up. I imagine a set of children's building blocks. Each block represents a vertebra. And I imagine each block equally, uniformly, each one is rotating equal to the one above and below it. I have a little bit of resistance here with my arms, shoulders down, neck nice and long. Clearly I can move better in that when I feel it. My tight spot is in my middle back, right behind my heart area. And I can feel myself accessing that area. So pelvis anchored. Imagine now a space between each of those blocks. I'm using my arms a little bit, but not forcing. And my head is completely free. It's like the very last thing on the top. I'm also stretching my eyeball muscles. So I'm looking at the opposite corner of the room over there with my eyes. When we sit in front of our computers all day, our eyes become very fixed. They're very short range, so, just consciously being aware of that. You can stretch your eye muscles when you look behind you. And you could do that 7 to 10 times. By the time you've done 10 of these, you will feel so unhooked and so free. And I actually like to alternate which side goes first. Okay, we're almost done. After this, I would actually get onto the floor, but I'm going to do this on the bed just because you'll be able to see better. Coming to a kneeling position, my hands to the floor. I'm going to slide forward. My bum is lifting. Bring the elbows to the ground. Bring your nose right to the floor. Press back up. And then sit all the way up. If I had a longer bed here, I would take it all the way down, bending the elbows here like a chaturanga in yoga, pressing up, and then going back this way, forehead to the floor. So in the book, this is what he describes, and he describes do this to fatigue. So he doesn't even say how many. So forehead to the floor, then I bring my body to the floor with no collapsing in my shoulders. Shoulders maintain that long neck position. I do not let my belly cave. So use your arm strength here, people. This is a chance to strengthen your upper body. Really be aware. Also, it's a good flexion for the wrists. A lot of our elders, I'm finding, can't support their weight because they can't bend their wrist anymore. That could be happening also from excessive mousing. So I'm gonna exhale right here. Inhale as I go back. All right, so you get the idea. Now, I did a lot of talking. If you string those together with no rushing, just being very mindful, waking your day up with full breath, that is so doable. So beautiful way to set up your day. If you don't have a lot of time or a lot of energy, you can still feel really, really good about how you've started your day. So that's what I do on a day where I don't feel like doing much. I guess that's it. I'm all set up. And, you know, I think we're day 47. The world is changing, isn't it? All I can say is enjoy the gifts that are inherent to this time, even though it doesn't look like it's a good thing. I think lots and lots and lots of good stuff will come out of this. Have a great day. Till next time, be good to yourself. Love yourself. Radically love yourself. That includes intelligent, mindful movement. Bye.